Okay, thank you for reminding. Okay, so so let's just first do this. So then you open your root folder. Then you can start a notebook here. Then it will appear in your root folder, whatever file you want to have. Okay. So the first line of your notebook should be importing OS and then OS change directory to your root folder. So if it is not, if you didn't start it in your root folder, you should OS change directory to your root folder. Yeah, and if you are already in your root folder, you don't need to do anything. So you just need to keep here. You don't need to do anything. Otherwise, you need to say, yeah, I need C/ whatever, okay? To just go to your root folder. And then you should be able to say this OS list directory, and then the containers of this folder should be appear with this comment. Okay, if you are in this situation, then you are fine. Okay, then you can just go on with your notebook and solve everything. And yeah, and then yeah, you should be able to ponderate /project academic and whatever XLS file. Okay, this should be standard with all of you, and then at the end you just need to create a HTML page based on your notebook. So, for example, here, just don't want this. So if I want to convert this to so you can convert it also to PDF or whatever, but HTML should be fine for me. And then your okay, and then when you do this, your folder, there should be an HTML file. And if you open this with your browser, you can see it's not the code anymore. It's just nicely printed in an HTML format that you can easily share with everyone else. Okay. Good. So just because we didn't record it, I just repeat it very fast. So after this lecture today in the afternoon, I will upload the first case study in OLED. And this is, yeah, so there is a description file and some XLS files that you just need to start working with in a Jupyter notebook. And then it's important to rename your files with your ID and your name so I can find you. And you upload your solutions at the end before this due date in this Dropbox folder. Okay. Now, I think we can start with the first presentation, Seaborn, if you want. Okay. You can, I guess you can share screen there directly. So I can close it here, and you can share screen, and I guess. Oh. Okay, then let's just do it here. you need to share a screen. Oh, okay, it's already there. So everyone can see this, right? No.
We can see it.
You cannot?
No, at least I cannot.
No,
Yeah, same
you
here.
can't.
Yeah, no, it works.
Okay. So we're looking forward. Yeah.
So hello, everyone. My name is Elsa, and today I'm going to present the Python library Seaborn. Just to check everyone's hearing me online.
It should be possible.
So first I want to, so you can't see the whole page.
Oh. Change the setting of the. I think maybe the attachment doesn't work. No. Maybe this 125%. You mean this one? No, it's about the size of icons. I think this would be. Yeah. Just click here. No. No. Where can you see here? They can see you, but
Like for me, it's fine. I just don't know.
yeah, they can see you completely, but you can.
Okay, if you just maximize the screen here and you don't need to full screen.
They can see you completely because you have shared your yeah, yes. So I think okay.
I think this should.
Oh, it should work completely. Check it the other. Do you guys everyone see the screen? Yeah. Okay.
So back to it. Today I want to present you the Python library Seaborn. First, we'll just shortly explain what it is, what we use it for, and just some important notes that you should keep in mind when dealing with Seaborn. So Seaborn is an open source Python library, and it is built on matplotlib. You can use it to visualize your own data and also to explore your data. And the basic function of Seaborn is that you can draw really, in a simple way, you can draw nice graphs and use them to, yeah, so just explore your own data or make them visually really pleasing to show to other people so that they can understand.
Yeah. No, there's
okay. But yeah, can understand, but they can understand what you are doing, what your data is about. A lot of plots are already in there, and I will come back to that later. And you can just easily use them. And the syntax for Seaborn is way easier than for Matplotlib, with that feature as well. Also, the default settings in Seaborn are nicer and just make it easier to understand the data than Matplotlib. It also works very well with planning data structure or data frames, but you always have to keep in mind that it only works if your data is tidy. Yeah, now I will come to the context, so basically the outline. First, we always have to import the library, so we import Seaborn, and the alias for Seaborn is SNS. On the top left, you can see I just draw a basic bar plot, and if we haven't, although we use Seaborn, but we haven't yet set it, it will use the default option or the default settings of Matplotlib, so the basic white background. As soon as we use the command sns.set, we use the default options of Seaborn, what you can see in the top right. So the dark background and the font size changes, and also size of the font. And there are other options you can use when you just put in the context or the parameter of context in the sns.set command. And on the bottom, you can see you can choose between paper, notebook, talk, and poster. And what will change is the size and the font. And
Yeah, I think that's true.
you can also see that the grids get less and readability just increases from the left to the right. So the paper option is also the default option. You will use that if you just want to publish your graphs in a notebook, the notebook for working with yourself, talk, for example, presentations. The next parameter that you can set in before is the style. Here we can choose between dark grid, white grid, dark, white, and ticks. Dark grid is again the default option. And yeah, I think the rest is pretty easy to understand. Just depends on what you want to show. Maybe the colors are just a bit nicer if you use white or next parameter, which is probably one of the most important of Seaborn, are palettes. Yeah, you have, I will show you two options how to choose the palettes. So you can either do it inside your code for the plot. Then you simply add a palette at the end of your code, one point of your code, and define it for one of the names. And then this palette will only be used for the certain plot you're about to plot. And it will use the default option or the options that we defined before. Here as the last one, I use ticks, so that's why the style is ticks. In the right one, I use the sns.set to define that the palette is certain color or certain palette. And if I do it like this, it will the color or the palette will stay the same for all the next plots that I'm about to plot until I redefine it. But you always have to keep in mind that if you do this, but don't define a style, context, or others, it will go back to the default options. On the right, I just put some of the palettes that you can find or that are available with Seaborn, and in total there are 170 Seaborn palettes, so quite great variety of palettes. So now we come to the coding part. As always, you first have to import libraries. I would recommend you to always import pandas, matplotlib together with Seaborn, just because you most of the time work with data frames, and yeah, you will come to this point sooner or later. And down the bottom, you can see that I uploaded the data set, which is called tips. It's available through the Seaborn library. I will just shortly explain, so we'll work with this for the next few slides. So it's about people going to a restaurant. You can see here total bill, the bill people or the party paid, the tip they gave, the gender of the paying person, if the people were smoker or not, or in a smoking area or not, on which day they went, times to either lunch or dinner, and the size of the party. So here we do our first plot. It's a relational plot. So we put in two variables into relation to each other. And this one is a scatter plot, which is the default option of the well plot. So you always have to use data. So you define which data you put into your graph. Then you have to define the variable for the x-axis and for the y-axis. So we use turtable and tip. And with this little command, you can already get a pretty nice and appealing graph. You can already tell which was the highest bill and which was the tip according to it. And just for all the other graphs, I put this in the column here, just that you don't have this little text underneath. And really nice function or parameter of Seaborn is that you can use the parameter Q. With that, you can add another dimension to the plot using color. So I use, for example, day, which is a categorical variable, but you can also use numeric. And through this parameter, it will color the data points according to the day that the people went. And now you can easily say on what day, so it was Saturday that the highest bill was paid, for example, from data. We can also go one step further and also insert the parameter col or row, which stands for column or row. So we will divide the data or our plot column-wise in this case, or row-wise. And I use day to insert it. So we see it for every single day from Thursday to Friday to Sunday. And now we can easily make the first analysis saying that on Saturday and Sunday, most people went, that for the here we used male or female, that most male people paid the bill. So yeah, you can see with just one line of code, you already get pretty impressive plots. Now I want to just show you different plots that you can do with Seaborn. So this one is the join plot. On the left side, we again have the default option of the join plots. We have a scatter plot, and above and to the right a histogram. Then we can use the parameter kind to define different styles of plots inside the join plots. So here with the kind set to regression, we also add a regression line and kernel density estimation to the histogram. If we set it to KDE, which is short for kernel density estimation, see the set one. And in the last one that I want to show you, we add hex, which is short for hexagon. So we see hexagon instead of scatter points, or points in scatter plot. Then the box plot, I think I don't have to say too much about it. We run it the last time in the lecture. Yeah, I'll also use another palette just to show you some options on how it can look with that. Next was the violin plot. Also, we got to know it in the last lecture. Yeah, I just want to show you the violin plot itself, how we are used to it. So we use the hue to define one violin plot for smokers and for non-smokers for each day. But we can also bring this together using parameter split and set it to true. And then we see one violin plot for each day. On the left side, we see smokers, and on the right, the non-smokers. So this makes it really easy to just compare the data of the non-smokers and smokers, for example. Then there are also bar plots and count plots. For this, I used another data set simply because it's better to show it to you. The data set is called Titanic. I guess you all know the story about it. And it's down the bottom if you want to check it later. So here we look how many, so 1 is 100%, how many percent of the people survived in the first, second, and third class, divided into female and male. So yeah, it's really easy, seeable, easy to just explore your data of that, and also the count plot. And here we count the total amount of men, women, and children from the first, second, and third class. Another really great plot is the heat map. Again, a new data set. Here we look at flights from the year 1949 to 1960 and the flights that were taken in those years each month. We can simply insert the whole data set inside the heat map command. I use line width set to .5 just to have those white lines between, because it makes it really easier to just read the data. And also CMap set to a specific, so CMap is short for color map. I just use one of the color maps. You can find them on matplotlib if you Google for color maps. You can also use the default option, but I just thought it's easier. And from here you can easily see through using the legend, which is quite colorful, where the most flights were taken, and yeah, in which month and which year, and how it changed over the years. The last plot I want to show you is the pair plot. So for this, again, another data set, also from the Seaborn library. So in the pair plot, we just compare, or like have a comparison between each variable to each other. We also use the V parameter again to just have another dimension to using colors. And yeah, I would say that's it. Do you have any questions, or should I explain something again?
Just one slide before that, so I just want to emphasize this is one nice feature of Seaborn. So usually in nearly all EDAs, you can see one of these pair plots, because you need to bring your data set to 4 or 5 main variables and see their correlations together and their scatter plots. And this is the great way to show them. I think like no other library is able to do this pair plot better than Seaborn. And this is a great thing. Thank you also. Very nice.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we can go to plot three. So how we should start?
I will start. May random access rights to share my screen from my computer.
Do you
I'm in the Zoom.
so once I should stop the. So you can stay here. I guess microphone should work. No, thank you. I think you can just, if you want, you can come here.
Maybe I would like this to be not
Oh, okay, great.
backwards to the fellow students. So.
Yeah. So can you share your screen?
I think so. I don't think that here people in the room are seeing the whole slide, but they also can follow from the Zoom. All right. Okay. So hello everyone who is on site and online. My name is Stefan, and today we're going with my fellow colleague Semir present the Plotly and the different functionalities or libraries like Express, Graph Objects, and Dash. And first, a little bit background on Plotly. Okay, first the agenda. So we will go through the introduction and features. Then we will go to present the Express and the Graph Objects. And then Semir will continue with Plotly Dash and the different functionalities from this library. So a little bit background on Plotly. Plotly is actually a company, tech company, which was founded in 2013 in Canada. And over the last 8 years, it has developed as one of the main contributors to Python libraries, not only in Python actually, but also in our data science packages and software such as R and other. So, but maybe one of the most prominent projects of Plotly are Express, Graph Objects, and Dash, and that's why we are going to comment on these libraries today. Over the last years, as I said, they have developed numerous graphic libraries with a lot of downloads of these libraries, and they have also gained a lot of acknowledgement and a lot of prestigious awards for their data visualization softwares. And maybe the main advantage of Plotly is that by using Plotly and their libraries, you are saving up to 100 times lines of code. So you can imagine how dynamic this type of software and packages is. So we will start with Plotly Express. So maybe some steps how you should install Plotly Express. You have two ways if you're using PHP or Anaconda. So you can just type in really similar as our colleague talked about the Seaborn. With one line of code, you can just install Plotly since it's an external library and not a built-in one. And then you just have to import the Plotly Express, and the alias for Plotly Express is px. So in the first row, we can just import some data, and we should import the data as a pandas data frame, and we have to use the command data dot and then our pandas data frame, which we are going to treat. In our next line, we can build our graph. So by using the alias px, and then we can choose what kind of graph we would like to do. We will see all our possible graphs later, but maybe the most prominent one, or maybe the most familiar ones, are the scatter plot, lines, area bar, and so on. So you just have to type, for example, scatter, and then you can type in another argument regarding on this on the graph. So df is our shortcut for our database, and then we can set, for example, what kind of x-axis we need, or the label on the x-axis, the label of the y-axis, and the title of the scatter plot or the line plot, and so on. And in the end, we just show our figure. So all the and this is actually a huge variety of plots and graphs that we can use by using Plotly Express. The first one are really basic, as I said, for example, scatter line. These are the shortcuts for using these graphs, but there are a lot of fancy and not really popular so far line graphs and plots. But I would say really interesting and really useful. You'll see later what kind of graphs you can build. Let's start with the scatter plot, maybe the most basic one. So we just import. In this case, we don't import the data frame, but just the values. And we just type in the x and the y values, and this way you can see the output. By the way, I was really surprised how flexible Plotly or the process of Plotly might be. I'm a huge Excel fan, and I know that Excel is really user-friendly, and you can adjust your graphs easily than in Python. But by using Plotly Express or graph objects, you can create a really nice graphs with one line of code.
And one important thing about Plotly is that if you want to have an HTML output, so you want to send your data for another party that could explore the data himself or herself, then Plotly is an excellent choice, because there you have this dynamic kind of output. So it's the main difference between Plotly and Seaborn or other libraries is that here you can just like bring your mouse over data point and see the data points dynamically. And this is like if you want to have an HTML output, this is a great library.
So we move a step further, and now we are going to import a data frame. So on the left, you can see what kind of data frame what our input is, and on the right, how we are treating this data frame. So in this visualization, for example, we would like to show the distribution of the medals across countries, and for example, what kind of or how many medals each country has won. Of course, by having this data frame, you can simulate another type of graphs and so on. So it's just a pure example with this stacked bar charts where you can divide the data according to the nation and then the count and the medal. But it's a pretty straightforward command you can use for visualizing different kind of stuff. One interesting chart is the timeline chart. So the following two graphs that I'm going to show is not really popular, but a really nice feature of Plotly Express. So this timeline chart is, as you will see, it's really nice to follow, for example, I don't know, different timeline objects. When, for example, a certain person has started working and when he has ended working, when they have something in common across time. So it's maybe it's a really nice way to visualize time series. And as you can see, yeah, we can see, for example, Alex and Max in this example, when they have worked on several tasks. For example, Alex in blue, he has worked between January and March, and then he has taken another project between March and April. And at the same time, we can see that Max actually has been working on another project. So this can be easily done. I'm going one slide backwards by the comment. So we are just typing in the dictionaries with the start date and the finish date of each one. And as I said, it's a pretty straightforward code for such a nice and detailed graph. Another interesting graph, which I'm going to introduce now, is the sunburst. So it's a kind of upgrade on the pie chart on several levels. So in the next graph, you will see this is the graph is depicting the life expectations across countries in the world. But we have two levels. On the first level, we have the continent, and on the second level, we have more granular data on countries. So in this way, we can compare not only across countries, but also across continents. And as you can see, for example, people in Europe generally live longer than people in Africa. And when we can go deeper, and we see that, for example, most of this data is explained by people in Nigeria or people in Ethiopia, in Congo. They contribute most to the average length of life in Africa. And for example, for Europe, we can see that people in Germany, France, United Kingdom, they live pretty longer. So it's a nice way just to visualize across different levels of data, not only on country level or continental level. Now I will continue with graph objects. Basically, everything which we have seen in Express is more or less done on graph objects, but Express is some kind of upgrade. So Express is using all of the data libraries of graph objects. And yeah, just a really brief overview how we can import graph objects. And one of the main advantages for graph objects in comparison to Express is that we can create a lot of subplots, really similar to what we have already seen in Seaborn. And dual axis plots or pasted plots or another really fancy 3D graphs, but I think that these 3D graphs are beyond the scope for this course. But it will be interesting just to see how capable Plotly graph objects might be. So on mixed subplots, we can combine different types of graphs. We have bar chart, we have this fancy geographical map. It's another library or sub-library of Plotly Express, where we can depict different objects on our map. And below right, you can see another 3D depiction of data set. The dual axis plots is just depicting two data sets on the one graph. So really basic one. but it's possible to do it on graph objects.
Just one thing to add. So basically, whatever you have in Plotly Express, it's mainly a graph object that is like customized in a way that is available in Plotly Express. If you want to go beyond the defaults of Plotly Express, you need to start with a Go object, a graph object, okay? And then you just add some more Express things together, and then you create what you want. So it just adds flexibility to the Express, because Express is whatever which is like already written, and they are not very, if you want to go beyond the defaults of the Express models, yeah, you cannot easily find what you want. But yeah, if you start with a graph object and add some peaks things together, then you can create whatever you want, basically. Yeah.
And these are the fancy 3D figures, like mentioned, isosurface. But as I said, for example, maybe we can depict a form of a brain by this way, or to explore. But as I said, this type of graphs are more suitable for another spheres like medicine and so on, and of course in economics and finance. But maybe, as I said, for example, for our purpose, this is too much. But yeah, it's an interesting way of depicting, and you can try by yourself in these 3 links I have already. I think the presentation will be uploaded on OLAF as well. Yeah,
no,
so
it's on the it will be on the page, on the course page. Yeah.
Yeah. So later, when you are home, you can try by yourself. Basically, all of the graphs you have seen, you can try them by yourself. You can play around with the functions. I have already done it. Really intuitive how you can change the graphs, and yeah, in all of these 3 links you can see everything we have discussed so far. All right, so I will now give the word to Semir. I think that he also needs to share his screen. You should grant him rights.
Yeah, I already have it. I already can share the screen. So Stefan, if you could just stop.
Okay.
Stop sharing.
Okay, great. So
everyone can hear Samir at the end. Okay, great.
So sorry, I didn't open the.
You shared the wrong window.
President. Can you see my presentation?
No.
No?
No. So maybe you need to share your whole screen.
The desktop.
Yeah.
Okay, just a second. My internet connection is a little bit unstable. I'm
This is so good.
opening the presentation with Stefan. So I just Stefan emailed you, so I will just download it from the email. Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay, so hello everyone. Sorry for a small inconvenience. My name is Semir, and I will present the Dash Plotly. I will just give you a brief overview of my technique that I will try to present you here. I will first show you what Dash Plotly is. Then I will show you of what it is consisted. And then after that, because this Dash Plotly is a bit complex from the side of coding, I didn't include any coding part as it would take too much time for my 10-minute presentation, but I will show you how to use Dash Plotly, how it looks like in the practice, and where you can find all of these codes where you can easily download them and use on your own machines. And then, of course, you can just change the data and play around with it and have pretty good and look professional with your Dash Plotly and not have too much of coding skills, let's say. So this is what I did, and I think it's the most fastest way to get to know this topic. So first I'll just start briefly of what actually is Dash Plotly. So it's a Dash Plotly is a very useful platform that where you can create, as Mr. Manzouri said, interactive data visualization dashboards and graphs using the Python. And also you can use them as web apps, which can be very useful for your future, I don't know, let's say entrepreneurship or something. Dash is the library framework in Python and allows you to build interactive web applications and in Python scripts can produce great apps for your business, as I said. And this lets you build and deploy analytic web apps also using with R and Julia. So not only Python, and no JavaScript or DevOps are required. One important con of pros of this Dash Plotly is that it's costs only 5% of the full stack development approach. So it's a big cost saving if you have a company. It's an incredible 21 times cost saving of Dash Enterprise compared to, as I said, full stack development approach. And by Dash Web graphics are built on top of Plotly Java script graphics library written and maintained on Plotly. So Dash allows you to do many different kinds of useful and practical and analytic web applications, such as financial ones, web-based ones, machine learning, medical, manufacturing, and etc. So now I will start with the three main components of the Dash Plotly, and then I will show you. So I will show you each individual component, and then I will show you how it works in a whole. So the first component is the Dash components, and this Dash component is very simple. And it represents everything from the sliders, the checkbox, the data picker, drop down, and all of these Dash components are what you need in order to create interactive capability inside your data visualization dashboard. So you can see here I don't know if my mouse is seen here on left side, you can see the sliders. You can change some parameters. Here you have the drop downs and etc. Next part, the second part are the Plotly graphs. And Plotly graphs are all types of graphs that already my colleagues showed, so I will not stay too long on this part. On this link, I will show you the codes that you can easily find, but for some reason it says error. It's
at the end of the address, there's an parenthesis, and you need to delete that. If you look at the
okay, yeah, I understand. Okay, so here, thank you. So here you can see all the Plotly Python open source graphing library, and basically you just find what you need. Fundamentals, if you do artificial intelligence or machine learning, for example, SVM, multilinear regressions, and etc., you can find all of the graphs, basic charts, statistical charts if you write your master thesis, and etc., financial charts. So this would be pretty simple part, and then next part is the most important, I would say, and it's the callback. Reason why callback is important is that because it's the main connection between the first two parts, mainly Dash components and the graphics, and this connection via callbacks is allowing you to create an interactive capability of this Dash. And here you can see one of the examples of using the Dash in case of the Uber rides. And now I would like to go through few Dash applications and see how all of these three components are working together. After that, I will show you the codes, where you can find them and how can you easily apply them. So I will just switch to, you can still see my screen, right?
Yep.
Because I shared the whole screen. So here you have the Dash Enterprise App Gallery. So this is pretty awesome, I would say, as you can first choose which field are you interested in, or you can just look at the all apps that are already here with the examples. And I chose to show you the three examples. This is the financial report, and also the next one is the support vector machine, if you work with the machine learning, and the interest rates, yields from 1 to 30 years, yeah, yield curves. So here, for example, you have this Calibre Financial Index Fund, and for example, you write your financial report, and here inside of your financial report, you have the as Mr. Manzouri said, when you hover over the over these bars, you see the some information. First year, you see the number, and then if you want to zoom in, you just zoom in this part and look at these individual parts. Here you see some hypothetical growth of $10,000 invested. Here you see some risk potential, and here when you switch between, for example, price performance, you can change from 5 years to 10 years and etc. You don't need to have 5 graphs for all of these years. You can have it all in one, which is pretty convenient. Next one is the support vector machines. If last semester I did some seminar, seminar for finance.
One moment, Samir. So one important thing is that, like, just to repeat. So if you want to have a website that is based on some database in the background, that the database is updating itself, and you just want to have a dashboard to show to your clients, to your if you want to show it to your colleagues or whatever, this is an easy available code that you just need to change some background codes, and this will be yours. And then you can use your own website. And if you want to like deploy it on a server, people, so I think in 2 or 3 weeks we will have Google Cloud and AWS. Then there you can see how you can just make your like whatever you created onto a website. And that's
so yeah, pretty like I would say something that I couldn't imagine using or being able to use and present to my boss, let's say, but in this way it's pretty easy to impress someone, I would say. So if you use the support vector machines, you know that here, for example, you can see the good example of graphical representation of changing the noise level, for example, the threshold, you see how it is changing. Down, you can change the kernels, for example, to sigmoid, to linear one, or whatever polynomial, and other parameters. And here you have, for example, how many of true negatives, false negatives. You have all the data in pretty nice manner. So, for example, if you are analyzing some stock price, and you can show this here in pretty nice way, I would say. And the last example, which is also very useful, I would say, from macroeconomic side for money and finance students, for example, yield curve from 1990s to 2015. And as you can see, you can zoom in and zoom out, and it's 3D plot. So this x-axis is the year, y-axis is the yield, and this z-axis are the years, as you can see. So, for example, in 2015, you see the yield to 2.0 for 1 month, and as you go up, you see for 3 months, 1 year, 2 years, and etc. And here you have a nice slider where you can see every axis individually. So now you look at the z-axis for only years. If you go next, you go to the 0.2, then you go to the x-axis from 1990s to 2015, and etc. So you get the point. And now the next thing I would like to show is where to find these graphs. So everything that I showed you here, I showed you only 3 examples of 105 applications of this Dash Plotly. You can all find it, and I included this in the links at the all of these codes. You can find them zipped here, which you can download easily. Dash interest rates, you can see here, zip file, and then you just apply to your own machine locally, and as I said, you play around with it. I also include this link with very, let's say, if you want to go more deeper in the technicalities of this Dash Plotly and how to develop it by yourself from scratch. I think this is a good starting point for develop Dash data visualization interface in Python with Dash. And I also included some other GitHub links where you can find other codes that are not exactly these ones from Dash Enterprise Gallery. So here are the links that I was using and that I mentioned to you. And these are the sources. So I would like to thank you for your attention. I hope this approach from my side was useful, because I thought that I went through some codes and applied it on my machine, but it was so time consuming that I would need at least half an hour or 1 hour to show you some example in details. So yeah, thank you very much. And yeah.
Any question? Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Well,
oh, sorry.
actually, I have a short question. Have you tried it yourself, and how difficult is it to deploy it? So basically, I have some trouble imagining how you transfer the Plotly code onto a website. So is the output HTML that you then basically paste somewhere else, or how does it work?
Yeah, I didn't deploy it on website. I downloaded it on my computer, unzipped the file, and there you have everything. And you have there all the explanations and README file. And here on this link that I provided, it's here. Just a second, I will show you. You go here, Python and R source code. And here you have the instruction on how to start. So how to use these Dash sample apps. So download and run a single app, unzip them, run this, then you can run the app. So it's pretty simple. So here you have all the instructions on the link that I provided you, and then, as I said, you can just play around with it.
Okay, thank you.
So you basically need to create a Python app, and then if you want to make it a website, you need to just upload it to a cloud server like Google.
Exactly.
AWS, then it will be a website. Like
cool. Okay, thank you, Simon.
Yeah.
So I didn't do this. I did only locally on my machine. I didn't upload it on the website.
Yeah. So this is also, I don't know if someone. So I'm just looking at the people who wanted to present things. So there's no one selecting Docker. So Dockers are a great way. So if you create some app on your own machine and then you can Dockerize it, so it's will So the Docker is at the end, so no one selected it yet. But so basically, you create one app, you Dockerize it, and then you just deploy it on a server, on a Google Cloud, AWS, or many other, like Microsoft Azure. And then it will be like the same app in your PC, but it will be online, and everyone can use it. Yeah, but yeah, you will be more professional by the end of the semester. Thank you, Samir and Stefan, for your presentations. Very nice.
You're welcome.
Okay. So the reason that we emphasize so much on this visualization things is that at the end, it will impress everyone of your colleagues, your boss in the future, and mainly so this will be very helpful for your career advancements in the future. So yeah, I think it makes sense for you guys to work more with this kind of libraries that are available and just become more handy for you. And yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. Sasan, what libraries do you use personally to visualize data?
It depends. If I want to use it for for my data science works, I usually rely on Plotly because they have HTML output. Then I can easily deploy them to the websites of the companies and so on. But if I want to use it for my academic work, I usually use Seaborn. because they have nice academic kind of graphs that you need at the end. So this is like my two choices mainly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. So I think we can go to MPL finance.
Let me ask I stand there because I can see the colors here too. Okay. I should share my screen.
Yes. Yeah. You can use the laser.
Yeah. Hello everyone. I wish you hear me clearly. I'm Mustafa Sarabale, and today we want to introduce you the MPL finance, which is a very intuitive and very useful tool for visualization of stock prices. You can use this tool to visualize different stocks from Bitcoin to normal stocks so that you can grab data. And also the beauty of this tool is it's completely compatible with the Python, with different tools in the Python, so that you can easily use different aspects of visualization with this tool. The new API of Total Theory does the extra matplotlib work that the user previously had to do manually with the old API. And it is very intuitive in terms of data frames, and there's lots of advantages in use of MPL finance. First of all, you can use a very basic usage of this. You can customize appearance of plots and the new features, which is added to this tool in June 2020. And you can add your own technical studies to plots, which is very useful for stock analyzers, especially for technical analysis. And you can subplots. You can use subplots and multiple plots on a single figure, which is added in August 2020. The very useful tool would be price movement plots, and also the rainbow charts, which we go through it later, and also the trends, support, resistance, and trading lines, and finally saving the graphs on your file very easily. So the most important part and the basic part is that you should import some database and some libraries. First of all, you should these are the lists that you should use at least to start your visualization of stocks. You should import dates time and so on. For finance part, for data of finance, you can use Yahoo Finance or any other data sources. After installing and importing libraries, you should grab data via Yahoo Finance, and then we call it MPL Finance, and that's it. We can see the basic MPL Finance output.
Just one second. So this date time, so the first line of import here, the date time is because you want to work with the time series. And so if you have one column in your panel data frame that contains date information, you need to make sure this is converted to date time. And yeah, so that's why you import date times. And if you want to, for example, change the frequency from quarterly to annual and so on, you need to work with this module. We will cover it in the next sessions more deeply about time series. But yeah, that's
yeah. And one of the beauties of MPF Finance is that it uses dates as an index, so you don't have to set index for your data later, and it's very intuitive in terms of analyzing based on time series, and it would be very easy to use. If you want to actually practice it a bit, we can go through different a bit of coding, so that we first should insert. We should install MPF Finance, which I have already done it. And then it may take time for you guys for the first installation, but afterwards it would be easy to use. Okay.
If you installed it already, you can stop this. Yeah, just select and stop it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, if you want to grab some data, for example, for Tesla stock, we can easily grab this data. As you see here, we have the time and the date as an index, so it will be very useful for us later for our future analysis. And for the basic usage of these data would be like this graph. As you see, there is different points: the starting point, the close point, the high and low. This is very basic candles, not candles, very basic graphs that you can see. As I repeat, this is the this is the start. This is the start. This is the close. This is the low. This is the high. In technical analysis, we call shadows for the low and the high part that are far or less than the close and starting point. Afterwards, if you want to be more specific and visualize in a better way, we can use candles, which you can see here. It can be actually, we can use different styles for these candles, which I will go through them later. As you see here, we have also the starting point, the close point, the high and low part. For example, in this candle, we have a very different numbers, but you can easily visualize everything here.
So basically, this is the Twitter history of Elon Musk. Right?
Yeah. We can also use very more simple graphs like lines, but we can add different features in lines. For example, we can add different technical analysis or our technical data to the lines or to candles. We will go through some of them later, but just keep it in mind that it is very useful. I mean, all of these kind of graphs are useful in technical analysis and also in stock analysis. Well, here is a very beautiful feature for MPF Finance. We can use moving average, as you can see here, for different 3, 6, and 9s. It will actually let us know how the average in 3, 6, or 9 days move. So it would be very intuitive. As you can see, I have used a different style for this graph. I will show you the list of the different styles, and I will present you some of them. You can use them based on your presentation with different colors, or you can use your own preferences for visualization of these data. Okay, as currently the Bitcoin prices are very violent, and I want to introduce you with a very useful visualization of stocks, which is based on Japanese stock prices and Japanese stock analysis. I use Bitcoin data, so I grab it from as I mentioned before, from any source of data that you can use, for example, Yahoo or anything else. The basic Renko chart, as you can see, this is called the Renko chart. The difference between this chart and the previous chart is that you can use it. I mean, you can base these bricks based on prices, so that you can analyze them in a very weight-based analyze. So that you can use it. If I go through the one, yeah. You can also add the volume to this by adding this volume 2. And then if you want to use different styles, for example, we just add the style of Yahoo here, so that this is the style that is named by Yahoo. We can use different colors. If you want to go through different styles, just type mplfinance underline styles, and it will show you all the styles that is available on mplfinance. I can show you some of them. For example, here is IBD, Yahoo, My, and this Stars and Streets, which is the different visualization for different styles based on your theme of your presentation. Additionally, I want to show you this. If I want to go through this grid size or Renko visualization, you can see that we can change the size of this grid based on the volume that we consider it would be good for us, for example, for our analysis and for our presentation, so that we can either use the brick size or the length of these bricks to show our presentation. Next, there's a feature for us that, as I said, for the line stock prices, you see that this is again the Bitcoin stock prices. We can set different lines. These lines are usually used in technical analysis for getting short or sell positions. We can color them as you see here by green or red or any other color. And we can set the lines for to see when our target will be achieved by this graph or during this analysis. Again, we can use the vertical lines. Here I combine the brick one in the Renko graph and the vertical line. You can set different time periods, so that you can see how the whole site has moved during the time or during the period of time. Additionally, you can, before that, I would show this. You can set a region that is more important for you. For example, as you know, in technical analysis, news are very important. So that you can use a period of time that is before or after news. If you have the news something here, we can see how the market may move during that time, and based on that, you can have some clue about behavioral finance in terms of stocks. So it's based on different time periods. You can set your own analysis. And also there is some feature for MPL finance. So so that you can draw the lines of the regression between different time series. Here you can use different. I have used the trends of this graph based on different aspects. For example, the first one is the main trend, the green one, and also the regression of the whole stock during the time from October 8th until the 1 month, almost in 1 month, so that you can see all these stuff in the MPL finance. For me myself, it is very useful because it gives us a very good presentation about different area of finance. I mean, the stock market, because you can easily download the stock prices, but if you can see the visualization of stocks, it can give you a better understanding of every aspect of stocks in your presentation or in your analysis. If you have any question, I'm ready to answer.
Thank you for your presentation. May I ask one question?
Sure.
Can people somehow download or connect to the real-time data from internet or some databases?
Yeah, there's actually a feature which is animation feature in MPL finance. I used the code actually for Bitcoin, but because it was I did it in excuse me, I used it for Tesla. But because the market was closed, I couldn't actually receive the live one. And today I didn't go through it to check if it is possible to visualize it here or not. But there is some code in terms of animation, which you can receive live data from Yahoo Finance or any other data sources. So even you can set the quarter or the different time that you want to receive this data, for example, every 5 minutes or 10 minutes or every hour. So yeah, this is the feature.
In the MPL finance, there is like an animation section in the GitHub page.
Yeah.
I can just, if you stop
Yeah,
sharing that,
yeah.
I can. So I can share this. So apparently this is what you meant, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so there are some demos that you can work with them, hopefully easily. Yeah, I think it should be available. But in the next weeks, when we go through APIs, you can see that how easy it is to get the live data and then go through whatever library you want and plug them. Yeah. Any
Thank
other?
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when the market is closed, do we need to manually close the program, or it can be paused by some codes?
Normally, when the market is closed, no data would be arrived in your when you are grabbing the data from Yahoo or any other data sources. When the market is closed, no update would apply to the data, so you normally don't have any new data. If you have initiated before closing the market, you have your own data until the end of, for example, Friday. But if you want to initiate it on, for example, Saturday or Sunday, which is the market is closed, receiving data from now on would not be possible. I think.
No.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And there's just one. So if you are interested in this kind of technical analysis and so on, So I don't believe in technical analysis, so just a disclosure. But there is a recent paper by people that I highly respect. So this, what they do basically, they train a deep learning model, and they basically use an input of these charts that Mustafa just showed, and then they train a model that could actually generate some alpha for you. So if so, this is I don't know if in our course we could manage to go through this deep learning models, but if you're interested, yeah, this is what you can see, and I think in the website of Dashing Ju, you could find some Jupyter notebooks that are referring to this paper. And I think we have one of our students here who I just asked her to replicate this paper. I don't know if you want to open your mic and explain a bit if you read this paper, but yeah, but very nice paper, and yeah, if you're interested, you can just think of it as a master thesis option.
If I may, I add a very short comment about what you said about technical analysis. Actually, because it is based on behavioral finance, kind of, and it's based on the players of the market. I think the machine learning that we use in Python is a very intuitive way to analyze technical. And there is also some other analyzers which are now are doing that based on machine learning and deep learning, and also MATLAB and Python together. And yeah,
I mean, for predicting markets, this is like this paper is like shock to me, because at the end, so my experience with this all deep learning and so on is when you have all the price, then technical analysis doesn't add anything else. So if you have just any neural network, it could include all the information that technical analysis could give you. And yeah, that's why I'm super interested in this paper, and I want to see how they actually created such a thing. But yeah, let's see. Okay, thank you very much. So we don't have that much time left. I just want to show you what you could do as homework. So there is this notebook that visualizes some lending club data, and it uses Seaborn and Plotly interchangeably. And one easy thing you could do is to just try to make whatever Seaborn plot there, you try to use it and produce it with Plotly and vice versa. This will help you to understand both Plotly and Seaborn, and this is a great exercise. I did it myself, but I don't want to share my code because it's super not tidy. And yeah, but I think you can just do it yourself and learn more. Yeah, and yeah, so we didn't manage to yeah, go through the visualization tips, but there is a nice website I just want to introduce it to you. So this is actually a big website that for any kind of plot that you can imagine, it shows you, so for example, box plots, you can see how you can do it in Seaborn, and there is also Matplotlly and so on. So basically, you can see all the visualization libraries that are available to produce this kind of graphs, and a very easy cheat sheet to like see the important comments for whatever kind of plot that you can imagine. So for example, heat map again. So this is a way to create them with Seaborn. And yeah, I don't know if there are other ways to do that. Okay, so okay, I hope so we're set for today. So if there's any other questions, let me take them. Also in the Zoom. Okay, great. Then see you guys on Thursday, and have fun with this case study after the class.